All right, let's talk about those big what if questions. The kind that really make you think. Like, what if your life just completely changed overnight? Today, we're going to get into the English you need for exactly those kinds of conversations. And we're starting with a huge one. What if you suddenly became famous? Let's dive in. So, let's just jump right in with that. Seriously, imagine it. What if you woke up tomorrow and suddenly you were famous? What's the very first thing you do? Where would you even go? This is exactly the kind of hypothetical stuff we're going to learn how to talk about today. Okay, first things first. Before we can even really get into this whole hypothetical world, we're going to need the right words. So we're starting with the vocabulary you'd need to describe what it's really like to have everybody know your name. So the key concept here is this term, a public figure. And, this isn't just about actors or singers. It could be anyone who's really well known. The big idea is that their life isn't entirely their own anymore. In a way, it kind of belongs to the public. And that brings us to the one thing they almost always lose: privacy. Now, what I find really interesting here is just how simple the definition is: free from unwanted attention. I mean, that sounds pretty great, doesn't it? But for a public figure, it's often the one thing they just can't get. And a huge reason for this loss of privacy? Well, it's the paparazzi. These are the freelance photographers who are basically hunting famous people, trying to get that perfect and often very private picture. And hey, a quick little language tip here. Paparazzi is already plural, so you'd say the paparazzi are everywhere. To really get a feel for this world, you need words that capture that intensity. The attention can be totally overwhelming. People might disturb you all the time when you're in public, which makes you just crave those moments in private. It often all kicks off when you release a new song or movie that becomes a huge hit. You see how these words just build a story? So if your private life is basically gone, where do you go for some peace? Well, ironically, you might escape to another public space, but one that offers a totally different kind of freedom, like a park or out in nature. So let's look at the language for that. And who do we have to thank for these amazing outdoor escapes? The landscape architect. Yep, these are the creative geniuses who design the parks, gardens, and even university campuses that give us all a place to just breathe. And as we're thinking about these outdoor spaces, the right words really bring them to life. Imagine walking along a footpath on a beautiful university campus, just soaking in the natural beauty. A really important goal for these places is making them accessible to everyone. And of course, it's up to all of us to appreciate them and please not ruin them by littering. Okay, this slide gets to the heart of a huge debate for any beautiful public space. It's always this push and pull. On one side, you have the desire to preserve it, protect it and keep it exactly as it is. But on the other side, there's the push to develop it, to build new things, maybe for tourism or business. It's a constant tension. And that whole debate creates pressure. This is such a great phrase to have in your back pocket. Pressure is that feeling of strong influence, that demand coming from all sides, basically forcing governments or organizations to make a choice. Are they going to preserve or are they going to develop? Okay, so this is where it all comes together. We've got the words for fame and privacy, and we've got the words for parks and nature. But how do we actually talk about the choices, about these big imaginary situations? What if we did choose to develop that park? What if a celebrity could just be anonymous for a day? To answer that, we need more than just words. We need a special tool for our imagination. And that tool is grammar. But wait, don't worry, this is the fun part, I promise. We're going to talk about something called the second conditional, which is basically the grammar of imagination. So, what is it? Put simply, the second conditional is your key to unlocking all those what-if questions. It's the perfect tool for talking about things that aren't real right now, but we want to imagine them. It's all about exploring what would happen if things were different. So here's how it's built. It's got two parts. The if part uses a past tense verb, like lived or were. Now this is the magic trick right here. It looks like the past, but it's not actually talking about the past at all. It's like a secret code that signals, hey, we're in an imaginary world now. Then the second part tells you the result of that imaginary situation, using would, could, or might. So, if I lived near a park, I would go hiking. See, I don't live there, I'm just dreaming about it. Okay, so how do you know when to use this instead of, say, the first conditional? It all comes down to reality. The first conditional is for things that are likely or possible. If it rains tomorrow, I will take an umbrella. Yeah, that could totally happen. But the second conditional, that's for stuff that's unlikely or completely hypothetical. If it rained money, I would buy a castle. Pure imagination, right? All right, time for the grand finale. Let's put everything we've learned together. We're going to combine our new vocabulary with our new grammar and just see what happens. And boom, here's a perfect example. This sentence shows you exactly what I'm talking about. We take our vocabulary, words like celebrities and in public, and we slot them right into the second conditional to imagine a totally different reality. If they could walk around, that's our unreal situation, they would feel happier. And that's the imaginary result. It just clicks together perfectly. Let's do one more, this time about our public spaces. If they built a footpath, okay, so we're imagining that decision to develop the area. And the possible outcome? Tourists might come. Using might here is really cool because it suggests it's just a possibility, not a 100% guarantee. It's a great way to talk about potential consequences without being certain. And really, this is the main takeaway. Language isn't just about memorizing words and grammar rules. The real magic happens when you combine that rich vocabulary with the right structure. Because when you do that, you suddenly unlock this amazing ability to talk fluently about really complex, real-world issues. So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. Look around your own town or your own city. If you had all the power, what's one thing you would preserve just as it is, and what's one thing you would develop into something totally new? And the cool thing is, now you have all the language you need to answer that.